Hey guys, I want to share with you why it's best to use 12.5 gauge wire or stronger when you're building your cages. Now, this pin you see here is a 3x4 stag pin made out of 12.5 gauge wire and 2x6s at the bottom. And this pin it's about 6 months old, and you can see that this wire has already been destroyed on it. And this was done from a mutt dog. About 2 months ago, I had 2 mutt dogs come in and get to some of my chickens. They killed 2 of my roosters that was in 2 pins that's made out of 14 gauge wire. Now in those though, they didn't mangle and try to eat their way in the pen like this. They just ran the roosters around the pen until they wore them down and they stuck their head out and they finished them off that way. And also the wire wasn't flipped sideways on those pins like it is on this pin that you see here. Now when they come to this pin, they obviously tried to do that rooster the same way, run him around and get him to stick his head out, but that rooster didn't do it. He was a straight comb rooster that hadn't been trimmed, and I got my wire flipped sideways on this pin, and it makes it a little more difficult for a rooster to stick their head in and out. But they did a number on this pin. They pretty much destroyed it. The dog that did this was a half Rockwaller and bred over some kind of old mutt dog, just an old half-breed mutt, and he worked his cage over. He tried to eat his way in, and this wire being all mangled and tangled up, that's from that dog's jaws. I mean, this cage was in perfect new condition, mint shape before this happened, and they destroyed it. But they ain't a doubt in my mind, if this was 14 gauge wire and they couldn't have ran that rooster to death to get him to stick his head out, that they would have easily eaten through this cage. But it being 12.5 gauge wire, it prevented that dog from getting to this rooster. They had him wore down and wore out and stressed out pretty badly, but they didn't get him. I got the rooster here on the farm and he's fine now, but he had a very close call with this incident. And you can see that this 12.5 gauge wire is strong, and they broke welds. They broke the welds on it, and they just bent it. You know, that dog just mangled it. You know, if you look right here, these are broke completely off. And this wire isn't easy to do that to. So always remember, guys, when you're building cages, it's worth it to go ahead and buy the better wire, the wire that's a little bit more higher than your normal 14 gauge wire. Now, on my dome pin video I posted about a year ago, I built that pin out of 14 gauge wire, and I'm recommending in that video, if you can find it, to use 12.5 gauge. And when I built that video, that was just wire that I had, extra wire that I had off of an old rose, so I used that to go ahead and, instead of letting it lay around, I went ahead and used it up and made something out of it. But if you build your pins out of good strong wire, and if you do have an attack by some old mutt dog, it squeezes by your electric fence or whatever you got up and it gets into your chickens, then a good sturdy wire may save your chickens. And also, I recommend when you build these cages to flip your wire sideways like this, and you'll notice that your roosters won't stick their heads in and out of the cages near as much. But I'll go ahead and finish showing you what this mutt dog did this, and I guarantee you won't do it again because he's no longer around. But he did a number on this pen. I mean, he went all the way around it just to mangling it and chewing on it. I mean, he just pretty much destroyed it. I mean, I'm going to take the front and back piece off and put new pieces on it. I could use it like this, but I don't like using something tore up this bad. And another thing, guys, if I didn't have these treated 2x6s on the bottom of this to add it for a little extra weight, and just had 2x4s on there like I built a lot of my pens out of, this dog could have very easily just flipped this cage over, because he had scooted this cage around quite a bit. And I mean, you can see he just worked this pen over. And I don't know if you can see this. Looks like rust on this. That ain't rust, that's blood. That's from where that dog was tearing his jaws up trying to get in this pen. I mean, he worked it over. Then you come over here on the other side and he did the same thing. And I had a cover on this pen, just like I do those. And it shredded it. I mean, it just ripped it off and destroyed it as well. So this is about I don't know, I probably have about, by the time I had my cover and everything on this pen, I probably have about $35 in this pen. And that dog just destroyed it. So, alright guys, that's about it. I just thought I'd take the time and share this with you before I take this cage apart and redo it. So, alright guys, I'll catch you on the next video. Have a good one.